Hello and welcome. My name is Dmitry Markolov, aka at Dmitry Make Love, and you're listening to an episode of Faucets of Reality. Let's begin. Hello everyone, welcome back. Today I thought I'd just do kind of an impromptu talk on what art is, and even more specifically, its relationship to social media and making content, so to speak. So first of all, what is art? Um, I think that art, and I'm not the only one who thinks so, but from what my limited understanding is that it is a unique and novel expression of the moment as it is. I'm sitting here with nothing scripted. I have, a general topic I want to talk about, but I have nothing prepared. This is coming to me exactly as it's coming to me. There's no, at least I'm trying not to, trying to remove all the boundaries that are maybe in between me and my expression. I think that ultimately art is healing, because in order to be in the moment, in order to express freely, you must have healed all those things that, prevented your expression to begin with. You could say any kind of, they talk about trauma or childhood trauma, something that happened that prevented your full expression of who you are. And getting through that, that's why they talk about, or at least some people say that if you can speak about your trauma, you've already taken, the biggest steps to heal about it. That's why counseling, therapy, group sessions are so good and so important. So again, I want to inspire everyone to do more art, and I think that that is really the answer to where we find ourselves as a humanity now, especially with the advent of AI and computers and technology. We don't have to be the workers anymore. This is past the industrial age and capitalism. We're going forward into uncharted territory. And again, all these things, to me at least, they come back to doing art. Now, like I've been having conversations with people about like the 90s, for example, the last time that, social media wasn't so prevalent. It wasn't everywhere. It wasn't, we didn't have these phones in our pockets that we were connected to the internet everywhere we went. You could just get a message from someone, get distracted from the moment, from real life. That's why the 90s definitely were a time when a lot of real people came to the forefront. I'm talking about people like Kurt Cobain and people like Tupac Shakur. And there was a lot of people that created some of the some of the best art. And I'm not just saying that because that was kind of like my childhood, a decade, the 90s. But also because there was this, I remember, even being younger, that there was this discrepancy between the corporate, advertising, marketing, um, and real art. Like there was this difference. There was a fine line between the two. And the biggest sin in the 90s was selling out. Like you didn't want to be a sellout. You didn't want to do your art just for money. I think that in a way, this is something that needs to be brought up in this day and age, because that line has become very hard to distinguish. Like the line has been blurred, so to speak, where no matter what it is you're doing, especially creative pursuits, it's almost like you are expected to be on social media marketing yourself. And I'm not saying that you have to be, For sure, there's people who aren't on social media at all, and I've heard it said that the best people, the most creative people, don't use social media at all. But me personally, I will say that I feel as though I have seen, myself be kind of consumed by it, and I project this onto other people, but really, like, it's my own thing that I'm trying to understand. So I thought, I would open up a dialogue, conversation with everyone listening about what your thoughts are about, what is the role of social media. Now, for me, art is specifically, it has to be unconventional. It has to challenge the social norms for it to be good art. Anything good was at first, it was shocking. It was almost feared. It was like, what is this thing that this person is doing that is, that it's like so antithetical to the norm, what we're kind of used to. And it's so interesting. Just, I don't know whether it's existence or being human, but it's like we crave comfort, and yet we also want excitement, and we go back and forth between the known and the unknown. I think that a lot of times when you only go for the comfort, only for the things that you know, then it can be detrimental to your evolution, to your growth. We need to challenge ourselves with new ideas. We need to keep going forward. We need new inspirations and new sensations that we haven't felt before. And I mean, for everything that um, for everything that social media kind of confines us to this box, and there seem to be these elements in reality that keep us kind of like limited. There seem to be forces that want to keep us within the boundaries, so to speak. But and honestly, I see a lot of people being depressed over it. Like there's these, what is it? The whole woke movement is based around those who seek to victimize and those who are victims. Any kind of conflict, especially like lately, for sure. This is just a very simple way of looking at it. I think it's not so easy because one side will pretend that they're the victim. They're the victim in this unjust society or whatever. And in fact, those who victimize, they want you to think that, it's not good to feel yourself the victim, and you got to see it from both sides, that you're creating the situation just as much as those bad people, so to speak. I mean, it's easy to get caught up in this kind of entrapment, in this box of, um, oh, they're the enemy, and I'm a victim, and there's nothing I can do about it. And it's like that just makes your situation worse, right? So, you just heard Patricia's son, this very, very interesting and well-spoken astrologer. She's, I think, in her 80s, but she, the way she speaks is so eloquent and very full of wisdom, and yet like she seems like she's young. Anyways, she brought up how kind of like the answer to everything is to love your enemy, because when you love your enemy, then they're not an enemy anymore, right? So like I love that she speaks about, that we can end war, we can end conflict, get beyond it within our lifetimes now. um so anyways, just a little sojourn into into some of these things. But art, for me, it seeks to do that. It seeks to transcend boundaries in a loving way, not in a way that is uncalled for. Because The you know the conscious mind, that's what it does, is it creates boundaries. The conscious mind will zoom in on one thing, and that one thing, everything else will kind of go away. It's like tunnel vision. Um, and that's what the conscious mind does. That's what it's for. It creates boundaries. It's like the pinpoint that goes right into where it needs to go, like the penetration. So the conscious mind, it can penetrate into situations, into objects, and explore them more. But in so doing, it leaves out every all the other possibilities. And so even though it's needed, we can't forget the vast storehouse of subconscious and unconscious forces that kind of fuel the whole journey. It comes from back there, so to speak. And you bring out what's back there to the forefront. So however you can reach that subconscious, that unconscious, that storehouse of all knowledge ever, that all the things you've ever seen, all the things you've ever felt, all the sensations and feelings that have ever been in your life, they're stored there. More so, apparently, it's connected to the greater superconscious, as it's called, which is access to things you haven't seen. Also, they're there within us, and the conscious seeks to merely kind of like bring it out, like push it forward, and whatever it is your mission is or your intention, it like pushes it um, into the material realm, so to speak. So you could say those unconscious, subconscious forces are the spiritual, are the creative things, are those that seem to come from, a higher source or divine kind of realm. Um, so regardless, I mean, you can think back to a time within humanity, within your own life, within the universe, where everything was new and we didn't know what things were and everything seemed exciting. And we had to primarily base our whole understanding of what this is, what reality is, all these faucets of reality. We had to base it on emotion and, I guess you could say, irrational forces, things that we were kind of grappling in the dark, trying to make sense of it, and then little by little we made sense of it. And then for me, like, I mean, I think that the second stage was developing the intellect, the logic, the ego, so to speak. The ego, that's its bread and butter, is logic, its rules, boundaries, knowledge, you can say. It seeks to compartmentalize into these little bits that these little blocks that you can work with. You can rearrange them. You can do things with them. But yet there's like a third stage beyond that, and I think that that's kind of where art comes in. So first you have emotions, which are they kind of give you a window into the unknown. Your first window into the unknown is like a feeling. You have a feeling and you go after it, and then you gain information, which then you turn into knowledge, which becomes your ego. Your ego is basically all the parts of you that you've collected as knowledge, as these instilled pieces of information that you can draw upon and use for instilling your will, you could say. But after you've, I guess, created who you are, your ego, who you are in society, it eventually becomes like almost, um, dare I say, a prison, dare I say, a trap, dare I say, I mean, a box that you seem to be confined in, and that starts to weigh more and more heavily until you find the way out. And the way out is back to those emotions, it's getting back into that childlike state. Except at this point, you have experience also. So you have this ego, but at this point, you try to go beyond it. And in fact, it can only help you, your ego, it can only help you grow. But eventually, at the end of all things, you have to discard the ego, or else you won't be able to progress. You won't be able to evolve, being in the same state as you were before.
Hey, you made it to the end. You get a gold star. Seriously, thank you so much. You are supporting what I am doing here just by listening, and I appreciate that a whole lot. Ever since I can remember, and it feels like forever, I have been fascinated with what all this is. Being, life, and the nature of reality in general. It is now my hope to traverse these different facets and expand consciousness together with you. From the bottom of my heart, thank you so much for being here. If you find that you enjoy listening, please subscribe, leave a 5-star review, and/or comment, as it shows the algorithm what I'm doing here is truly worthwhile and helps me reach more people. And if for any reason you wish to reach out, I am on Instagram at Dimitri Makelove. That's DimitryMakelove. Have an amazing day. Remember, all is one. IO. And until next time.